This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The moment Pamela Rasmussen saw the article, she froze in fear. Rasmussen was an ornithologist at the Smithsonian Institution. It was 1996, and she was putting together a field guide on the birds of India. She had tens of thousands of specimens and field reports from across the subcontinent to examine. It was overwhelming. Thankfully, she had a few guiding lights, ornithologists she could draw on who had done reliable work there. Without them, she would flounder, which is why the article disturbed her. It was about Richard Meinertzhagen, one of those trusted sources. Before his death in 1967, he was considered the great ornithologist of his generation. He did fundamental work in India, collecting 14 species that no one else had seen there. But the article was accusing Meinertzhagen of fraud. The accusation centered around redpolls, brown and white finches with what looked like a smear of strawberry jelly on their chests. Meinertzhagen had collected some in France once before donating them to a museum in London. At least that's what he'd claimed. According to the article, Meinertzhagen had not collected the specimens. He had stolen them from another museum in England. He had then changed the labels to make it look like he had found them in France, all to prove a pet theory of his. Rasmussen did not believe the article at first, didn't want to, but the evidence it laid out was damning. She finished it with a sinking feeling. To be sure, the accusations involved only birds in England. Maybe his work in India was still sound, and Meinertzhagen had a reputation as tireless, someone willing to tramp farther and search more widely than anyone else. So maybe he really had found those 14 species no one else recorded in India. But doubts were already gnawing at Rasmussen. Her career, her reputation were on the line with this field guide. She decided right then and there to get to the bottom of this. Who was Richard Meinertzhagen really? And how much could she trust him? From the Science History Institute, this is Sam Keene and the Disappearing Spoon, a topsy-turvy, science-y history podcast, where footnotes become the real story. Richard Meinertzhagen was born in 1878 into an international banking family that was second in prestige only to the Rothschilds in Europe. Meinertzhagen overlapped with Winston Churchill in school, and he claimed to be descended from a king of Spain. Family members headed the Bank of England and London Stock Exchange. He loved biology from a young age. He supposedly sat on Charles Darwin's knee once, and as a teenager, he spent countless hours skinning and preparing specimens at the Natural History Museum in London. In fact, he learned the art of preparing birds from one Richard Sharp, the very man whose redpolls he would later be accused of stealing and claiming as his own. Meinertzhagen grew up into an imposing man, 6'5", with a booming voice and dashing mustache. He longed to become an ornithologist, but his father forced him to join a branch of the family bank in Germany at age 17. He despised the work and soon quit to join the British Army. He served in India and Burma before ending up in Kenya. At this point, Meinertzhagen's biography gets a bit murky, mostly because he was a fabulist. He just made up wild tales. For instance, his memoirs and even diaries are filled with stories of atrocities he helped commit in Kenya. burning down villages, mowing people down with rifles. He even talked of roasting a Kenyan warrior on a spit and eating him. But historians have found zero evidence that any of that happened. It's unclear why Meinertzhagen invented these stories. Perhaps he simply enjoyed shocking people. In truth, he spent much of his time in Africa haughtily ignoring orders and doing science. He mapped the terrain, collected animal skins, painted wildlife, and conducted a census of animals on the Serengeti. However much of a liar, he took science seriously and did good work. Still, he was involved in two disturbing events in Africa, things that really did happen. Once, he sicked his beloved dog Baby on some baboons. He hoped that Baby would kill a few, perhaps for specimens. Instead, the baboons ganged up and tore Baby to pieces. A furious Meinertzhagen rounded up a platoon of soldiers. They hunted the baboons down and shot every last one. It was pretty ugly. Far worse was the Nandi massacre of 1905. The Nandi were a tribe in Kenya who clashed with British officials over incursions into their territory. They especially hated railroad lines and telegraph poles. They sabotaged them whenever possible. Lieutenant Meinertzhagen reached out to their leaders and proposed a meeting. He said the British wanted to work toward peace. No one quite knows what happened at the meeting. Stories differ. We do know the two sides met in a clearing. Meinertzhagen had 5 men with him. The Nandi had 24. Meinertzhagen later swore that one of the Nandi shook his hand to open the meeting, then treacherously yanked him forward to throw him off balance. It was a signal for the other Nandi to attack. Luckily, Meinertzhagen said, his men opened fire and killed the traitors. Other sources claim that Meinertzhagen was the double-crosser, that he yanked the Nandi leader during the handshake to initiate his own sneak attack. Still, other sources say that the British hid a machine gun behind a rise near the meeting site and mowed the Nandi down when Meinertzhagen's men were still 50 yards away. Regardless, the outcome was the same. 24 slaughtered Nandi leaders. This decapitated the rebellion, which soon died away. Now, British colonial officials were not exactly kind fellows. They committed plenty of atrocities, but even they were horrified at whatever Meinertzhagen did. 3 separate court hearings probed his handling of the Nandi meeting. He beat all the charges, but he got shipped out of Africa in disgrace. Not that it really harmed a charmed, upper-class fellow like him. He kept his head low for a bit and worked his connections. By the start of World War I, he was back in India doing intelligence work, espionage. He later shifted to Palestine, where the British Army was fighting the Turks. During slow days on the front, he would commandeer the optical instruments that troops used to track incoming artillery. He would spend a happy afternoon calculating the velocities of birds soaring overhead. Meinertzhagen's exploits in Palestine have become legendary. Historians have written whole books about them. His primary responsibility involved running a network of Jewish spies within the Turkish army, work that won him several medals. He also met Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence described Meinertzhagen as a man, quote, so possessed by his own convictions that he was willing to harness evil to the chariot of good. Meinertzhagen, however, was less impressed with Lawrence. In fact, Lawrence once supposedly confessed to Meinertzhagen that he was a fraud. Someday, he wailed, I shall be found out. After the war, Meinertzhagen married a woman named Annie. He eventually rose to the rank of colonel and continued to lurk on the edge of British espionage. He didn't do much during World War II, beyond helping excavate soldiers at Dunkirk. But that didn't stop him from spinning wild stories about his exploits. Conveniently, if anyone challenged the veracity of his tales, he either browbeat them with his booming voice or claimed that the incident was hush-hush and that he could not say any more. One story he told involved meeting several times with Adolf Hitler in the 1930s. He was there to beg for the lives of endangered Jews, but the meetings supposedly had their comic moments. At one, Meinertzhagen said that Hitler walked up to him, snapped into a Nazi salute, and bellowed, Heil Hitler! A flustered Meinertzhagen responded by saluting back and braying, Heil Meinertzhagen! You can imagine this story getting raucous laughs at dinner after a few bottles of wine. But really, it makes no sense. Why would Hitler Heil himself? More somberly, Meinertzhagen claimed he met with Hitler in 1939 with a pistol in his pocket, and that he came within a spade of shooting Hitler on the spot. His own life be damned. He would recall this tale with a sigh in later years, bemoaning how he could have spared the world the most awful war in history. His dinner guests would coo and try to cheer him up. What a noble man. You probably won't be shocked to learn that Meinertzhagen never met Hitler, much less nearly shot him. But he told such tales with enough flair and melodrama that he became a celebrity in British high society. One aristocrat was especially taken with him, Ian Fleming, the novelist who invented James Bond. In fact, Fleming based Bond in part on Meinertzhagen and his life, or at least Meinertzhagen's own version of his life. But after Meinertzhagen published a memoir in old age, full of tales of bravado, Fleming actually quit writing. He said no spy novel could compete with the exploits of the master. In truth, after the 1920s, Meinertzhagen devoted most of his life to birding. That, not espionage, was his true passion. He loved to watch birds, to study birds, to track birds, and especially to steal them.
The holidays are here, and that means it's the most wonderful time of the year to save with Rakuten. Use Rakuten to stack cash back from your favorite stores on top of holiday sales. That's savings on savings. With Rakuten, you can get cash back on gifts for everyone on your list. From toys for the kids to kitchen gear for the person who loves to cook to electronics for everyone. You can even save on something for yourself. Just shop the stores you love and cashback is automatically added to your account. And you can get paid with gift cards, PayPal, or check. Or eligible American Express card members can even choose to earn membership rewards instead of cashback. It's truly a no-brainer. Join for free today and get a new member bonus after minimum qualifying purchases. Just go to Rakuten.com, download the app, or install the browser extension. That's RAKUTEN. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Like John James Audubon, Richard Meinertzhagen was both a prolific wildlife observer and a prolific wildlife killer. Over his life, Meinertzhagen amassed a collection of 25,000 bird skins, an obscene number. He shot at least half of them himself, and not always legally. Whenever he visited an area where collecting was banned, he carried a special walking stick with a small gun concealed inside. That way, he could shoot any choice specimens on the sly. As for the other half of his 25,000 birds, he bought the bulk of them. The rest, he stole. He stole them from museums all over the world, Paris, Leningrad, New York. But his prime target was the Natural History Museum in London. He usually showed up in the bird room there around noon, when half the staff was at lunch and there were fewer eyes to watch him. He would request a box with maybe 8 birds inside and take great pains to examine them. Then he would slip one into his coat, say cheerio, and stroll out. Given his background as a spy, he got away with it more often than not, but not always. Once, a clerk at the museum caught him with 9 birds stuffed into his briefcase. He tried lying his way out. He said that a former curator there used to let him take specimens home to study them. Besides, he said, I'm Richard Meinertzhagen. I'm a gentleman, and of course I'll return them. The museum didn't buy it and banned him from the bird room. But a wealthy friend of his, a Rothschild, got him reinstated a year later, at which point Meinertzhagen resumed stealing specimens. Over the decades, he got caught several more times, and the museum called in Scotland Yard twice. Both cases nearly went to trial. But the museum always dropped the charges and reinstated him. Later, Meinertzhagen even got his own key to the museum. So why did the museum tolerate him? In part because the directors belonged to the same upper-class old boys club that he did. They protected their own. There was also the typical British terror of fuss or scandal. Better to hush things up. The main reason, though, was the 25,000 specimens that Meinertzhagen owned. The museum coveted them as a donation after he died and did not want to anger him. They figured that if he stole a few here and there, well, they would get them back eventually. And their deferential approach worked. When Meinertzhagen died, they secured the collection. What the museum didn't realize was that Meinertzhagen had not just been stealing the birds. He had been changing the tags on them, the labels tied around the bird's legs. These labels list where the bird was collected and when, the day and month. This information is vital for ornithologists. It reveals the birds' habitats and what their plumage looked like at different times of year. It also helps track migrations and determine how abundant a species is. Meinertzhagen was an expert on bird migrations, and he was changing the labels on specimens to forge evidence for his pet theories about the migrations of certain species. This is a grave scientific sin, a massive betrayal of the field. Also, imagine the hubris here, trying to make the natural world bend to your will. But to get away with this crime, Meinertzhagen had to do more than just change the labels. He also had to redo the preparations of the birds to mask the evidence of theft. To ready a bird for a museum in the 1900s, preparers followed the same basic steps. First, they sliced open the tissue paper thin skin around the belly and rolled the bird skin inside out like a sock. At this point, they discarded the guts and most of the bones. They sopped up any blood or fluid with cornmeal. Then they used a dowel and cotton balls to make a dummy mount for the bird. Finally, they stretched the skin over the dummy and sewed the bird up. Now, these were not like the birds you might see in a front-end museum display. Birds with their wings spread wide, assuming dramatic poses. Backroom museum specimens are stiff and lifeless, with the wings tucked into the side. Most don't even have eyes. They're strictly meant for ornithologists to study the features of birds. But even though all bird preparers followed the same basic steps, the details differ because each preparer had their own style. In fact, a trained eye can tell one preparer's technique from another's at a glance, as easily as you can distinguish between two people's handwriting. This was especially true in previous centuries, when many preparers were self-taught. They also usually prepared specimens in remote places, forests or jungles or tundras, where they made do with whatever materials were on hand. Instead of using a dowel to support the dummy, some used matchsticks or bamboo. Instead of cotton, they might stuff the body with hemp or moss. Some preparers kept more bones inside than others. Some removed the brains by slicing open the thin skull, while others removed the brain through natural sinuses. Some preparers left the birds with taut, flat bellies, while others left the birds' bellies bulging, like they had just polished off Thanksgiving dinner. The stitching could vary widely as well. Meinertzhagen specimens had their own quirks. He usually turned the bird's head slightly, leaving it at an angle. He also crossed the legs and left the bodies understuffed. His birds looked like no one else's. So whenever he stole a bird from a museum, Meinertzhagen had to transform it. He would unstitch the bellies and redo everything according to his own preparation methods to hide his crimes. As a former spy and a longtime bird skinner, Meinertzhagen was pretty good about covering his tracks, but not perfect. A dogged Irish biologist soon exposed his ploy about changing the labels on redpolls from France to England. And as we'll hear next week, Pamela Rasmussen at the Smithsonian would pick up that thread and soon unravel the entire tapestry of Richard Meinertzhagen's many, many scientific crimes. This is the Disappearing Spoon podcast, brought to you by the Science History Institute. Be sure to check out their in-depth science history podcast, Distillations. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts or on their website, distillations.org. You can find more incredible stories in my books or at samkeen.com. You can also book me as a speaker there for your school or event. If you like this podcast, please spread the word and support it at patreon.com/disappearingspoon. You can also get bonus episodes and signed books at Patreon. This episode was written by me, Sam Keen. It was produced by Mariel Carr, Rigoberto Hernandez, and Sarah Kaplan. Our sound design, scoring, and mixing is by Row Home Productions. Row Home's creative director is Alex Lewis. John Myers is Row Home's executive producer. Thanks for listening.
Row Home Productions.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Have you ever wondered why onions make you cry?
Or how soap gets your hands clean?
What really is margarine?
Or why do trees change color in the fall?
I'm a chemist, and to answer these questions, I started a podcast called Chemistry for Your Life.
In each episode, Melissa explains the chemistry behind one of life's mysteries to me. And I'm definitely not a chemist, but she explains it in a way that's easy to understand and totally fascinating.
If you're someone who loves learning new things or who wonders about the way the world works, then check out Chemistry for Your Life, available wherever you listen to podcasts.